Can you imagine an entire country gripped by fear, its capital city transformed into a war zone, all to capture one man? That was Jamaica in May 2010. This is the story of how one Don, Christopher Dudus Coke, hijacked a nation and plunged it into chaos. For years, Tivoli Gardens, a small inner-city community in Kingston, operated as a state within a state, governed not by laws but by loyalty to a single man, Dudus Coke, the infamous leader of the Shower Posse. To his supporters, he was a protector, a benefactor who kept the community fed and safe. But to the rest of the world, he was a ruthless drug lord whose criminal empire spanned continents. The tension began in 2009 when the United States requested Coke's extradition on charges of drug trafficking and arms smuggling. What followed was a year-long standoff. The Jamaican government, led by then Prime Minister Bruce Golding, initially resisted. Why? Because Coke wasn't just a criminal. He was a political ally operating from Golding's own constituency. But under mounting local and international pressure, the government finally relented, triggering a chain of events that would leave over 70 people dead. On May 23, 2010, more than 1,000 soldiers and police officers stormed Tivoli Gardens. It wasn't just a raid, it was a battle. Dudus's loyalists had barricaded the streets, armed themselves with high-powered weapons, and even planted explosives. What unfolded was 3 days of bloodshed, chaos, and destruction. The security forces faced organized resistance, including sniper fire and improvised explosive devices. Civilians were caught in the crossfire, and the air was thick with the sound of gunfire and explosions. By the end of the incursion, the Jamaican government declared it a victory. But at what cost? The numbers are staggering. At least 73 civilians lost their lives, including women and children. Families were torn apart, homes were destroyed, and thousands were left traumatized. The Jamaican government later admitted that the operation's brutality raised serious questions about human rights abuses. To this day, survivors recall the fear and horror of being trapped in their homes as gunfire echoed through the streets. In addition to the immediate casualties, dozens of people were injured and many families were displaced. Tivoli Gardens, once a tightly knit community, became a symbol of the devastating consequences of unchecked power and violence. Despite the devastation, Dudus wasn't captured during the incursion. For weeks, he evaded authorities, sparking a nationwide manhunt. Then, on June 22, 2010, he was caught while trying to flee, disguised as a woman. The once untouchable Don was extradited to the United States, where he eventually pleaded guilty to drug trafficking and racketeering. Today, he sits in a U.S. prison, but his legacy still haunts Jamaica. Dudus's capture was a dramatic moment, but it also marked the end of an era. His extradition sent shockwaves through the political landscape, revealing the deep connections between organized crime and Jamaican politics. The Tivoli Incursion left scars that have yet to heal. Prime Minister Bruce Golding's political career crumbled under the weight of the Coke scandal. Public trust in the government hit an all-time low. Golding's resignation in 2011 was a direct consequence of his handling of the extradition and the incursion. He later admitted that the entire episode had deeply affected his ability to lead. The political fallout extended beyond Golding. The Jamaican Labour Party faced criticism for its ties to Dudus, and the entire nation grappled with questions about the role of politics in enabling organized crime. Strong, vocal civil society groups pressured the government to account for its handling of the matter. In response, a commission of inquiry was established, which found numerous flaws in the planning and execution of the operations in Tivoli Gardens. The commission's findings underscored the need for greater accountability and highlighted significant failings in command and control during the incursion. Tivoli Gardens remains a shadow of its former self. The community has struggled to rebuild, both physically and emotionally. Many residents still carry the trauma of those days, and the scars of the incursion are visible in the bullet-riddled walls and the stories of loss and survival. What happens next? Christopher Koch's story isn't over. He's set to be released from US custody in 2030 and deported back to Jamaica. What will that mean for a country still grappling with the aftermath of his reign? Will history repeat itself, or has Jamaica finally moved on? The question of what Dudus's return will bring looms large. Will his presence reignite old loyalties, or will Jamaica seize the opportunity to turn a new page? The answers remain uncertain. Here are 4 bonus facts. Number 1. Dudus's nickname. Christopher Koch earned the nickname Dudus from his school days, but few know it's derived from the word dud, meaning harmless or ineffective, a sharp irony for one of the most feared men in Jamaica. Number 2. International reach. The Shower Posse's operations extended far beyond Jamaica, with branches in the US, Canada, and the UK. In fact, the gang was linked to hundreds of murders in the US alone. Number 3. The price of loyalty. Koch's loyalists weren't just gang members, they included community members who benefited from his generosity. Some risked their lives to protect him, believing he was their only source of stability. Number 4. Golding's regret. In his resignation speech, Bruce Golding admitted that the Koch saga had deeply impacted his leadership and his ability to govern effectively. It's a rare case of a leader acknowledging the weight of their mistakes. Number 5. A legacy of fear. Even today, Tivoli Gardens is often associated with violence and unrest, a reputation that has proven difficult to overcome. 15 years later, the Tivoli Incursion remains a cautionary tale about the dangers of corruption, the cost of crime, and the resilience of a nation. Jamaica's story is still being written. Let's hope it's one of healing and transformation. If this story moved you, share it, because the lessons of the past must never be forgotten. Please subscribe to our channel, Impacting Jamaica. Today, if you haven't already done so, you can also check out other videos on this channel.